This is the 233rd episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the second week of October 2015. This episode is titled Customer Service 2.0. CloudFocus Weekly is brought to you by Clone This User. Clone an existing Salesforce user with a click of a button by the desktop, yes, the desktop, or in Salesforce One Mobile. Available for free on the App Exchange. Or go to www.clonethisuser.com. I'm your host, Jason Atwood, and joining me, co-host, 233 times in a row, head of customer service here at Arkus Incorporated, Justin.
What am I, the
CSR
head
Edelstein.
of? Customer service?
I don't know.
I guess, sort of.
Not really. You're actually not.
A little bit.
We actually have someone else who runs it.
Yeah, I guess I used to be.
That's right. Former head of customer service here at Arkus Incorporated.
Right.
How you doing, buddy?
My voice is a little...
Yeah? What happened? You out yelling last night?
I was out yelling and screaming last night.
Yes, I know. As was I at the same thing. Well, mostly at each other. But then at the sporting event that we were at, which we'll not talk about because it was just painful. All right. But we do have an agenda. We have another special episode that's been in the making. I think we're going to skip over the blog post for this week because it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. We are going to do a CloudFocus App Pick of the Week because that's fun. But we're going to talk about customer service. Now, we did a podcast many moons ago. I think almost 2 years ago. Yes?
It's been a while.
And
I can't recall how long, but 2 years sounds about right.
We kind of talked about customer service. We kind of talked about good, bad, and ugly of customer service.
Right.
And it is one of my small passions. It's not my huge passion. But when I think a company does well with customer service, I try to give them accolades, and I do that vocally through social media. And when they do poorly, I try to give them the reverse of accolades, which is to tell them that they're crappy. And to see how they respond, because I think it's interesting. We're going to tie this into Salesforce because, well, as consultants, we help people implement customer service tools. And
I was just going to complain about Salesforce.
Well, we're going to do that too. So we're going to use Salesforce as part of our storytelling about customer service. And I think, hopefully, we're going to bring in some examples of good customer service or things that you should be doing to make customer service better, or some do's and don'ts, or some sins and wins, some flybys and some bye-byes. I could do this all day. No.
Are these written somewhere?
No, those are made up. Those three were made up. Top of my head.
Do one more.
We could write it with some pen, or we could have it with a pencil. No, sorry. I only get three.
Three's your limit. All right, we know how far we can push you now.
Yes, I'm going on very little sleep.
As am I.
We should tell. We went to a sporting game because it's beginning to sound a little odd that we were both out yelling at each other.
We were though, yelling at each other.
We were at a sporting event last night, a Thursday night sporting event where the green team took on the red team. You guys figure the rest out. We were rooting for the team that lost, and that's where
we were rooting for the Ninja Turtles.
The Great Green Giants.
They lost.
They did. We were rooting for the green Tic Tacs over the red Tic Tacs.
Right. It's very Christmassy out there, but not Christmassy enough, apparently.
It was bah humbug.
Right.
We could do this all day. All right. So I actually went ahead.
You
unbeknownst to
did
you,
a whole bunch of stuff, and I have no access to it. You didn't put it in a place where I can actually even look.
Like most of the work on this podcast, I did a lot of prep and work, and you've done nothing.
I am just that quick. I don't need to do any pre-work.
Okay.
I'm good. I can just do it.
All right. So I have put it in a place. I've put it in a place that you can see now.
Thanks.
You're welcome. We collaborate.
Yeah, I can now see it. So, how about this?
Yes.
Now that I have your stuff.
Yes. My stuff.
Why don't we do it how we
Stop yelling at me.
Keep going.
Why are you yelling?
I will scream at your face.
All right.
So now that we have this here,
it is.
Why don't we do this how we do our typical special episodes, and I will start it off by like just asking you a question or something, and then you can maybe answer it, and then I can chime in a little bit and give a little commentary, and then we can just sort of keep going.
I feel like here's what I think we should do instead.
All right.
Great suggestion.
All right. Why don't we just do whatever you want, and I'll just sit here.
So
why don't you just talk to yourself for the next 25 minutes? This could be
the first podcast where I just talk to myself. So what I did was I come up with a list of things. What I'd like you to do.
What would you like for me to do? It would have been nice for you to tell me before we started.
I gave you a warning about this.
Anything.
Oh, did you read the meeting invite? Oh no.
Yeah, I did. You're like, I have a list. You're gonna come along for the ride.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So that's it.
But it would have been nice to share the list.
Oh well. Now
so I knew where I was like surfing.
So what I'd like you to do is come up with, because what I don't have, what I have is sort of a list of things that are, sort of bad things or customer service sins, deadly sins, and then I have like 5 things that you should do to make your customer service better. But what I'd like you to do is start thinking about examples of like either Salesforce or other, and we're going to tell a couple examples. I have a couple that I'm going to talk about, and then I'm going to talk about, but I'd like you to come up with some Salesforce ones.
Sure.
Okay.
Salesforce ones.
Yeah.
Where they go bad
or good.
Or good.
All right. Big one that goes in. So the first one, I just made this list. This is off the top of my head, but it's been kind of bubbling around for a while, and this might turn into a blog post at some point. So sort of 5 things that I feel like, everybody likes the 5 list. So 5 things that I think are sort of the customer service.
I like 6.
5 deadly sins.
Better add one.
Okay, well, maybe we will. The first sin, I think, is the most obvious of customer service, which is not getting back to you in a timely manner, right? I mean, if you think about
shame.
Responsiveness in customer service is sort of the number one thing. You put in a ticket, you put in a case, you communicate with someone, you send in an email, and not getting back in a human manner, I guess, is a real thing, within, a period of time that seems reasonable. I have a question for you. What seems reasonable? If you put in a case, let's talk Salesforce. You put in a case with Salesforce, and you say, I need help with X. You obviously get an automated response. That doesn't count. Sorry, we know what that is. That doesn't count. What do you consider like a reasonable amount of time to get back to you about it? Like if it goes, how about this? If it goes over this amount of time, you start to be like, you guys are messing up.
How about it depends on what I say the severity of the issue is.
Okay.
So I feel like there are things that are like, hey, we're partners, so you need to put in a ticket. You can get a courtesy license.
Right.
I don't think I'm telling stories out of school or anything
no,
like
probably
that.
Not.
So I think for that, let's use that one because it's rather generic and it's not like an issue or a bug or whatever. I think within one day, I should have my courtesy license.
So 24 hours.
Yeah.
Solved.
Because I can't imagine that's a very difficult process because I've had it done for me like within hours, but I've also had it take like 4 days where I've had to follow up.
Right.
So I feel like within a day, 24-hour time period,
business working hours,
that should be resolved. If I have something that I say is critical, affecting 100% of my user base, and I've already checked and I know it's not my fault, and I give you perfect reproduction steps and there's no known issues, like I expect like within an hour time frame to hear from somebody.
A real person.
A person.
Like this is like a problem.
Yeah, like hey, broken.
Right. Yeah, it's true. I would say if I'm using, obviously I want immediate response if I'm calling, because obviously you want to talk to a human being.
It depends on the channel, I guess, right? If you're chatting, you want them to pick up.
Well, right, you want them to pick up chat. I would say when I'm submitting something, I'm generally not looking for emergency type situation, but I think 24 hours. 24 hours in a business, if I put in Friday at 5 o'clock, I don't expect it to be Saturday at 5. My expectations, I think, and some of the stories that I'll tell about like, customer service that I'll give a good example of, actually it's the same company. I can give a good and a bad example. Quicken, run by Intuit, has support for their product, their online product, and they do Saturday support. So you can call in on Saturday and talk to somebody. I'll give them huge props because typically the people who are running books and whatever, sometimes you're doing it, especially for small business owners. Sometimes you're doing your books on a Saturday and something's broken. So like, calling in and getting that response on a weekend is really nice. I don't think it's expected. There's some other companies that I find are very, very good over weekend hours or 24 hours a day, and you're pretty impressed with it. So the second one would be, this is a big pet peeve of mine. Another deadly sin is having a support channel that doesn't actually support you. So a support channel means like if you're coming in through chat, if you're coming through email, you're coming through phone, those are channels in the service industry.
The Twitter.
Right? The Twitter, the social. So those are channels. And what I find a lot of companies do is they promote that they have these channels. Oh, you want support? Come here. You can get support via the phone. You can get support via the web. You can get support via Twitter or whatever. And they'll promote that they have these support channels. But when you actually go to try to use them, I think the number one is chat. That's the one I've seen fail the most. When you go to it's like, chat with us now. And you click on it and it pops open and you're like, and you wait and it says, hi, I'm Bob, and I'm taking your case for the day. And you're like, oh, hey, Bob. And they're like, oh, I can't do that from here. And I want to be like, what's the point of this support channel if you can't do that? That one, and the story I had was actually UPS. I had a UPS delivery issue. I went in, they had chat, and I went into chat, and I waited and got through the thing, and then I basically wanted to change, I wanted them to investigate a missing package. And they couldn't do it from chat. They said,
of course they couldn't. It's missing.
Well, they couldn't even start an investigation. That was what they told me. We can't start the investigation from the chat.
That's not the investigation team.
No, that's another team.
It's a whole other team.
You got to call in to do that.
You can't chat with that team.
Ugh.
They're busy out in the field investigating.
Right. So I'll give a positive Salesforce story. The other day, I had a Salesforce issue. I'm trying to figure out the exact issue. And I use their chat. I never use Salesforce chat. I always put in cases because I just I don't want to use the chat. Sometimes I feel like I get kind of off on support channels. I don't like it because I think that they're not very good. And they helped me out, went through, one and done, 10 minutes, done. Did the thing. It was something they had to do within an org. Did it, fixed it, and I was like, it was gaining access for an org that had been, what was it? I had never gone in, so I didn't have a security token, so I couldn't reset my password.
You didn't have a question.
So I couldn't reset my password, so I couldn't get into the org. And I got on chat, and they did it, and they did it great. And I was like, this is awesome.
They reset your password for you on chat?
Yeah.
How did they, just out of curiosity, how did they know that you were you?
Because it goes to your email address that's on file, so they're really just resetting it. I guess I told them who I was. I was logged in that org as me.
Just reset, but your email address is in probably hundreds.
Yeah,
of
but
orgs.
there was also the one that I was logged into. Yeah, that's the other thing.
But you weren't logged in.
Like, we find you a lot of places.
But you just said you couldn't log in.
Well, I was logged into an org in order to start the chat. You have to be logged in to start the chat. So it knew who I was.
But you were asking them to reset a password in another org. So how did they actually verify that you were who you said you were?
They just went into the other org. They found me. They see that my name and an email address from the org I'm in and asking for support was the same as the email address and the username of the person of the org I was trying to get into. And they just said, we've reset it. And I didn't say change my email to bob@gmail.com, but then they just reset it.
Okay.
Anyway, it was great. It didn't ticket.
Sounds great. I don't know if I... All right.
You don't love the security of that?
Not really.
Yeah, all right.
Doesn't sound really very good.
So we'll go to number 3 of the deadly sins, is not paying attention to the ticket or the case. Basically, it's when you, as a customer, when you put in information about what you need. Now, I will say a lot of people don't they're like, stuff broken. What stuff? Nothing, something. Like, they don't put it. But those of us who want to have our tickets done or our cases or support handled well, we put in good information. We know that the more information you give them, the better they are to solve the case or solve the ticket or to give you support. So my job when I'm putting in a ticket is try to give them the most information. Like, I'm going to give them what I think they need. Like, here's the org ID, or here's the thing, or here's the problem, or here's what I'm seeing, or here's 2 screenshots, whatever it is. Here's the file, right? So I find that like that's important. You put in that stuff. You would agree?
Yeah, I mean,
But
it's
then
one of my biggest bugaboos with Salesforce support. They're the people I call the most for support because I don't really call. I've never called them. They call me. But they have a field on their form to submit a case that says org ID.
Right.
And it even pre-populates for you with the org you're in.
That's new as of like a year and a half ago.
And I have gotten responses back that ask me what org ID.
Yeah.
And my response back to that, which is probably not the most efficient use of my time, is actually, can you see the field that I filled out? And they're like, no, give me the org ID. So I feel like there's this field that they can't see.
No, they can see it. Because
Well,
I've
then
done
why
that.
would you even bother asking me?
Well, for Salesforce specifically, I've put in way too many cases where I say, please email me I do not want to call because honestly, I don't want to call. It's like, I need to do X. Here's what I need to do it, and call me, email me whenever. Please communicate me with email. I almost have it as a text expander now. And 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, they don't really respect that. They just call.
They'll call.
They just call. It's weird because they've done so much work to deflect you from being able to submit a case at this point.
Well, to call them, too.
You can't even
calling them.
You've got to like navigate across about 7 screens before you can actually create a case. Now, I don't know when the last time you've tried.
Oh, days ago.
It's horrid. It's horrid.
Really?
It's horrid.
Because I think...
How about this?
Yeah?
Are you logged into an org right now?
I might be logged into 7.
All right.
Let me refresh to see if I'm actually logged in. I am.
Great.
It's called Arkus.
Open a case.
Okay. I'm going to go where I think.
Go ahead. Tell me what you're doing.
Help
Walk
and training.
us through this.
Yes, this is a virtual
All right.
help and training.
Great. It single signs you into the
It does.
help and training portal.
And it bounces me around.
Bounces around.
Okay.
All right.
This is a little new.
So you haven't done this in a while. Have fun.
No.
Open a
Here
case.
we go. I'm going to do it. Technical support.
Okay, good.
Go there now. 2.
Okay.
All right.
This is so cool.
Contact us. 3.
Oh, you're lost.
No.
Okay.
No. General Salesforce functionality. 4. Oh boy. Cloud and files. Desktop
Told you you're lost. You already lost.
Why can I?
Because you went the wrong way.
Wow, they have really gone to deflection.
You can't.
Hold on. I'm not gonna go where
You
I
have to
think
go
I
back.
should go.
Wait, you have to go back? Are you backing out? Did you just click the back button?
No.
I think you did.
No, it didn't.
You did. You had to. You have to get out of wherever you are because you're in the wrong place, my friend.
I was gonna try to get to my profile and see if I could get to my cases, or I could click a new my case.
Nope. You can go there, but there's no new button.
Wait a
Are
second.
you enjoying this or what?
This is actually terrible. I'm so glad. Wait.
Please
I'm at my
try.
open cases.
Please try. I'll keep talking and you keep trying.
No. All
Let
right,
us
all
know
right.
when you get there.
Let's try again.
Yeah, keep going.
Help and training.
Oh, you're starting over again.
I did this the other day though, and I did it great.
The fact that you can't even figure it out is just
all right.
absurd.
I'm gonna go this time. I'm gonna go create a case. Right from contact support to create a case. So that was good. Yes. So topic, setup and security. Show more questions. Don't see additional support options here. I'm gonna go here.
So funny.
Log a new case.
How many clicks
got
did that
there.
take you to get there?
All right, let's try it again.
And you actually do this quite a bit. Like, imagine trying to do this the first time ever.
Create a case. One click.
Oh wait, 2 clicks. You're already in help and training.
2 to get to a category. 3 to get to a section. 4 to go down to don't see a question. Options here. It exposes the case. 5, 6, click case. Yeah.
Yikes. And the first time, you didn't even know where to go.
No.
You went to contact us, which basically does not allow you to contact them. Wow, Salesforce, wow. You just had someone who's been doing Salesforce work for a really long time.
It's the lightning version.
They have completely deflected you.
All right, let's try where I was going. I went to technical support. I see that. And then I hit contact us.
And that's not the right place.
Let's see. Let's see if I could have gotten there.
You can't.
Support and setup. I think I could have. Security. Yeah, I could have. Don't see issues. I just didn't get the. Yeah, I can get there. Right there.
You can get there that
It's
way.
It's like
it's
the
weird
thing at the bottom that says "Do not." Right.
in like very small.
The point
font.
is.
Yeah. The point is, don't make this difficult. We know you're trying to deflect us, but have a big button that's like, I know what I'm doing.
I'm a big boy.
I need to submit a case.
Submit a case.
Yeah, like have a button that's like, I don't need deflection. I need answer, and it's not here. Or like, I've already searched all your stuff.
Right.
So let me ask somebody a question.
Right. Yeah,
wow,
that's pretty good. Well, our point was that people who come back,
it's not better if you have Premier support either. It's the same.
It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Also, that's not paying attention to the ticket, which is really what we talk. But I've had them do that too. I put in a ticket with Chase the other day, and actually, that's my next one. All right, so my next one on the deadly sins.
I'm just gonna keep talking about Salesforce stories.
Fine. Well, I have other stories. Number 4 is changing the channel. This is actually kind of the same as not paying attention to ticket. It's, as I ask you to stick in this channel to communicate with me. Generally, I want to stick to email, or maybe I want phone, and I don't want you to switch channels on me. Don't go from IM to then call me unless I ask you to. Don't go from email to phone call unless I ask you to. Stay to the channel that I'm communicating with unless we've agreed to go. So I put in a Chase ticket. So Chase is a banking company, right?
Is that what Chase is?
Yeah.
Bank?
They made a mistake in their rendering of of a deposited check. It was off by 50 cents. So I looked at the check, I looked at the thing, I'm like, okay, it's off by 50 cents. You guys made the mistake. I could see clearly through the screen that it was 0.50 and it wasn't, and they had it as 00. And I'm like, all right. So I take the details, the check number, the whatever. I then go into their help and support. I then create a case. I says, deposit error. I put in all this information. They ask, when is it? What date? What's the check number? What's the amount? What's the right amount? When was it deposited? I filled out this whole stupid thing. I then submit it. All I want them to do is to go in, figure out what they did wrong, and credit my account 50 cents.
Yeah,
not a big deal.
50 cents.
50 cents.
50
well,
cents.
I've already wasted money even thinking about this.
I need my 50 cents.
And it's really because it wouldn't reconcile with Quicken. So I was like, that's why I work QuickBooks. So I was kind of,
Gimme.
They phoned me.
Of course they phoned you.
They call me and then left a message.
Oh, how dare they?
So then I had to call them back because it's the only way to communicate with them back. And this person asked for every single piece of information again. Everything. When did you deposit it? What was the amount? What was the check number? what? I'm like,
come on, Chase.
I'm like, didn't I just give you all this information?
Be better, Chase.
That was terrible.
Be better.
And Salesforce will do it too. They will call. You will say, please do not call me, and they will call you.
Yeah.
Now, you had a theory the other day. Do you want to say it on air?
Yeah, I do have a theory. I don't even know if it's a theory. I think it's a philosophy.
Okay.
Because I've heard it come out of Salesforce employees' mouths during safe harbor keynote speeches at real events. So the customer company, the idea of a customer company.
Yes.
And having the opportunity to actually talk to the customer is becoming rarer and rarer of an actual thing because people are just tweeting at you and emailing you and live chatting with you.
Yeah.
So to actually have a competent human talk to you, keyword competent human, talk to you, is actually a valuable thing, potentially.
Yeah.
It's all about how that human interaction actually goes down and how well that person is equipped to actually talk to another human.
So give me your theory.
Well, my theory is that they like that they actually can talk to you because they don't get to talk to you very often.
The theory is that you put in a ticket and ask them to email you, whatever, and they'll call you because they want to have that interaction.
Yeah, they want to talk to you.
Which I find boggling. Just from a cost perspective, from a supports perspective, it's terrible to be like, yes, you've told me not to communicate with you this way, but I'm going to waste your time and mine by communicating this way.
Right.
I will say Salesforce kind of, and this is sort of like, a little bit in and out of school now. I find like they go through waves. Like I find that sometimes within a 6-month period, it'll be incredibly good support, quick, easy, fast. And then I'll hit like another 3 months that'll just be terrible. I'll hit with terrible people. And I know it's probably based on the center I go to or maybe the support round I go through. But sometimes they are just, it's just very inconsistent support. And I think that's maybe the sixth deadly sin. There's your 6. Is you need to be consistent.
I think we need 7.
Your consistency as a support organization should be, everybody should be at the same level and give the same kind of support. And I know through Salesforce, I can call up and get someone who does not even understand the words that are coming out of my mouth. And I can get someone who's like, let's get this done, boom, 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 done. And you're like, well, where were you when I called the other day? So definitely a sin. 5th deadly sin is updates. No updates. And I'm actually going to tell a story about this one. So, again, I'm using Quicken and Intuit. So I told it was a good thing, right? I called them on Saturday. They'll support you on a Saturday. Great. But another one, there's a bug, a legitimate bug inside of QuickBooks Online. It's actually sits there. It's every day I can see it. I can't get rid of this certain thing because it's a bug. So I put in a support ticket in end of August or beginning of August.
Okay.
And I put in the support ticket and I'm like, hey, this is, and they verify it and they did all their good stuff. We verified, okay, I'm going to support you, blah, blah, blah. Great. And they said, oh, and you know what we're going to do for you? We're also
Tell me, what are you going to do?
We're also, because you have this issue, we're going to not charge you for next month or for next 2 months. I'm like, okay,
cool.
because sometimes it's a nice thing. It's a subscription service. You should know what your subscribers are doing. I said, okay, fine. So then a month goes by. Oh, and I said, well, how am I going to know? It's like, well, you'll get an update when it's closed or when they fix it. It's with our engineering team, and they're working on it. I'm like, okay. So it comes by. It's now September, and the bug's still there. So I call up again, and I'm like, okay, now I'm irked. It's been 6 weeks. I haven't heard anything. I don't see where the bug is. No one's told me what is going on. What is going on? Oh, and by the way, I saw a charge on my card for this service. So I said, I'd like you to I was so mad. So I'm like, how about this? Give me an update. They go in, they go through the ticket. Now I'm mad when I keep my own notes. Like I have my own case notes, so I like tell who I talked to and when and what they said they were going to do. So I'm like, well, on this day you said you were going to do this, this, and this. They go, oh, we're so sorry, Mr. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, engineering is still working on it. I'm like, oh, still working, or they're working on it. Yes, they're actively working on it. I'm like, okay. What's the latest update on the case? Because of course I know support systems, so I'm like trying to get them to give me like what they're looking at. So what's the support? What's the latest response? What's the latest comment? Like, I don't say chat or message because I don't know user Salesforce, but what's the latest comment on it? They said, well, it just says it's with engineering. Engineers working on it. I said, well, how long is it going to take to have this bug fixed? It's now been over 8 weeks. And they're like, well, we don't know. I'm like, so you have no idea how long this is going to take, but someone is currently working on it? And so I say, okay, fine. And I said, and also you weren't going to charge me. Okay, oh, yeah, definitely not charge you. Okay, next 2 months, blah, blah, blah. The next month comes. They charge me again. I'm now 3 months in. I'm pissed. I call up. And I admit, I was not, I would maintain low tones and did not swear, but I let this person have it and because I just kind of schooled them. And I'm like, first of all, nobody's working on anything for 3 months without any update. And I started into development cycles, and I'm like, in order for a developer to work on that, they have to go open up the work, open up the code base, start testing, and when they do that, they do something. They provide an update. They change a status. Working. Like she's like, well, we don't have any visibility into that. We don't have any, into what's going on. I'm like, so you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. You're just this frontline thing. 3 months not working. By the way, it's now been 4 months. And then she said, oh, no. They also said, oh, and we're sorry about the not charging. And so she goes, I said, well, why don't you refund my money? Since you've told me you're not going to charge me for 3 months and you've charged me every single month, why don't you just refund me? We can't do that. I'm like, you can't do it? No, we can't refund the money. We can give you 2 months.
Who's this again?
This is Intuit. So I'm like, so wait a second. Somewhere they decided, because I know you can refund money on a credit card. It's pretty easy. There's actually a button on most credit card systems that you click refund, and it just refunds the money. I said, they created the system for you because you're a service company and because you have a subscription that they don't allow you to refund money for a pass, but they will let you do free. Basically, they're trying to sucker you in for another 2 months. Like, well, you have next 2 months for free. But of course, it's not working. She's like, well, this time it's going to work. We swear we won't charge you this time. I said, well,
Does it work or not?
No, 4 months, still not working. And I'm waiting for the end of the month to see if they charge me again.
That's stinky.
Oh, I was livid. Yeah, so the point is, if you have tickets, if you have cases, especially long-standing ones, and Salesforce is good at this, known issues, right? I wouldn't say they're great at the updates, but they do at least put something out there in the universe that says, we know this is an issue, and we're either working on it or not working on it.
I have an issue with known issues.
What's your issue with known issues?
That I will...
Well, first of all, explain known issues, just so if someone's just listening to the podcast doesn't know about it. What is
That's weird if someone's just listening to this
why
podcast
not?
and doesn't know anything about sales. Well, all right.
What is a known issue?
Well, Salesforce does believe in transparency and trust and all of that. So, and I think they're pretty good about it, and they're pretty good about the trust and transparency stuff. So, they have a site that has all of their known issues for the service as a whole, and it's categorized and it gets updated, and it's like coming in a patch release, coming in the next release.
So statuses,
updates, like text updates. It also allows for any user of Salesforce to go in and look at them and say, this affects me.
Right.
And you are then subscribed to it so that when an update happens, you get an email alert, which is really nice because if you say it affects you, you are actually then kept in the know.
Right.
So I've had people, where I've had a case and they say, oh, that's a bug. We need to work on that. And I'm like, well, okay. Is it a known issue?
Where's the known issue, right?
And they say, oh, there is no known issue, and they want to close the case. And I say, you are not closing this case until there's a known issue. Please create a known issue, post it back to this case with the link.
Right.
I will then close the case.
Right.
And I've had people close cases on me, and I've asked for them to be reopened. I've also had the situation where I believe something is a bug and should be a known issue, where it's one of those, it's working as designed.
Oh.
So I feel like there's a tweener, like this sort of is a bug, but it's designed that way, so it's sort of designed bad.
It's designed to be broken.
It's a bad design. It's designed improperly.
Right.
The example was shared activities. So,
oh yeah,
the idea of relating up to 50 contacts to a task,
right,
or an event or something.
Yes,
and it works on your phone.
Right.
It works in the standard user interface of creating a new task or a new event or whatever.
Right.
But it doesn't work on the desktop quick action. So it works in the Salesforce One publisher or Salesforce One action and the Lightning experience, but it doesn't work on the classic desktop experience if you have an action in your feed to create a new task.
Right.
And I was told it was that's how it was built. Like, that's designed that way.
Right.
That makes no sense. Like,
that
just doesn't make sense.
That's not really a bug. That is a missing feature. It's a missing feature. This thing doesn't do this, that this other thing does.
Like a weird, a lie.
I will say, so the good things about known issues, it's in the success community. So you can go find it easily. It's under help, it's answers, reinforced collaboration ideas, and then under more, it says known issues. So you can go grab them. They tell you what statuses they are. They tell you when they're updated. They tell you when they were reported, how old they are. It's at least, for most companies, this is like light years ahead, because they're at least telling you that, hey, this thing's out there and we're either doing something about it or not. I don't think it's perfect, because I know I've had known issues out there for long periods of time and had to kind of scream about them to get them solved. But but at least the level of transparency is there, and at least there is an update to them. And I'll say with even the ideas, which are not really known issues, they're ideas to do things, but sometimes they're missing features. They now are very good at going in and trying to give an update from the product managers about the idea. Hey, this thing doesn't work. We're going to work on it. And so I think they do a pretty good job with that. I think Salesforce does a good job with the sort of webification and trust level of support. I think they do not a great job with the actual people part of it.
Yeah, I think what happens is because Salesforce is so big and they serve companies of one all the way up to, Fortune 5.
Right. Or
one, right? So they may have some, let's just say, non-sophisticated, like, things that go into support, like, how do I reset my password?
Right. Oh, I'm sure there's tons of that.
A ton. And they're trying to just cut that out, but there really should be, like, the shortcut, like, I know what I'm doing. I know I need to submit a case.
Right.
Trust me.
Right.
I'm not asking you to reset a password. I'm also not asking you, why this drop down field.
Right. How do I add change?
Yeah, how do I
I'm sure they have like stats on the most commonly asked questions through cases that they, and in theory, when a case comes in, and we support our free products, and I don't think we're not the greatest support organization, but we try. It's free, and so when you pay for something, you get a little different level. I will say when something's free, I feel like, if you support me, I think you're great. If you don't, well, it's free. But when you pay for something, you want that level of support. All right, so I'm just trying to think. So now I wrote my 5 ways to win. Anything else about deadly sins that you want to add to the list? Deadly sins of customer service?
No.
Okay. And then I put together sort of the opposite of this, the 5 ways to win. So if you're building your customer service or an organization, if you're making them, trying to create a great one, again, I don't really study this, but I do help people build out these systems. I would say, 1, you should make sure your channels can actually support. So when your support channels are built, they should all have the same ability. Don't let phone support do X and not let this other support channel do Y. Because unless you're going to be very clear about that, like, hey, or maybe for a security reason, you can't do X unless you call. But if you're going to put out a support channel, make sure that channel actually can really, truly support people. And they should all be of equal value. I would say, and this is an obvious one and a nice plug, you need to have a support service tool. You need to have something that when people call in, they have a case number, they get the updates. My least favorite thing is when I call in and they're like, you give them like a case number, you say, can you look me up? And they're like, can't find you. I'm like, well, what was the last update? Oh, I don't know. Like, that usually gets me crazed. Like when they just don't have a system, they don't have notes, they don't have updates, or 2 teams don't use the same system, like in the case of Intuit, so it's off with engineering, but engineering doesn't update the case, so they have no visibility into what's going on. I put in here pay for better people. There are support times you call up and it's wonderful, great people who help you and you feel great, and there's times you call up where they are just not helpful, and it's just levels and tiers of who you're hiring.
Yeah, I agree with that. Training.
Yeah.
Depth of knowledge of the actual... Like, that's why it's good to collect a lot of information up front.
Right.
And you know what? It might be a bit more of a pain for somebody to submit into. That's why I don't like social support. I think it's like, how much can you really tell somebody in 140 characters or a Facebook post or whatever about what's actually going on? Like, I don't mind filling out a form with a bunch of required fields because it actually makes me think and actually, like, how do I reproduce this? Let me tell them. And that way, I feel like I get to the answer faster.
Right.
If the other person knows what they're doing. So part of that is,
but unless they ask you for all the same stuff you just filled out.
Right. If they know what they're doing and they are paying attention and whatnot, you should get to the resolution faster. The good part about that also is routing. So if you have a good routing system,
right,
and you ask the questions up front about what the problem is and what the actual high level issue is, and then maybe one level lower, you can route it to a SME or an expert on that particular issue and get the problem solved even faster.
Right. That's true. I would say, then
I just stole your wallet, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I would say the other thing is just transparency. Like, you have to be transparent, and if there's things that are broken or things that are not working, be transparent about that. Don't hide it. Don't limit your customer service. I would say the best customer service experiences are the ones that are empowered to do things, right? It's kind of that Ritz-Carlton theory. Like, you can ask anybody in Ritz-Carlton, can I get help with whatever? And they'll help you. They'll do whatever they can. They won't say, well, I'm limited to do X. Like the example of the Intuit, like, we can't refund your money. Well, that's because you chose to limit your support staff to not be able to do something because of profits. And when you're thinking about that in your support world, yeah, that's when you're losing. Your support people should be able to support them and make decisions. So it shouldn't always have to go to 7 layers higher to make some decision. You'll make a better support organization if you empower them. And then I don't know. I have a thing. I have started the sentence and now I don't know what it ends with.
Yeah, good one. All right, let's just move on from this.
Well, I have one great story though. I'm going to give a shout out for a support organization that is usually terrible and has some of the worst support I've ever seen in my life. I want to give them a shout out. So AT&T. I've had some of the worst support I've ever had from any organization ever in my life from AT&T. Wouldn't you agree? Like, if you thought of like mobile carriers are generally just terrible.
Oh, I mean, I haven't had to deal with this in a very long time, luckily. But I've had some knockdown dragouts in the past with Verizon.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, why are you treating me like a piece of garbage?
Right. It's usually cable companies or...
Cable companies usually have you
jump through hoops.
Well, they figure they've got you.
Right.
Because you don't have another option usually.
Right.
But now that I think that's sort of working its way out, like,
right.
It's like, hey, I'm going to go to Fios then.
Right.
They usually are like, well, wait a minute now.
Well, I'll say there's certainly cable companies. I mean, Time Warner is supposedly known. I don't have Time Warner or Comcast.
Time Warner is awful.
But I've known they've been known for being very bad.
My wife, who at the time was my girlfriend, lived in a building that the only thing she could get was Time Warner, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, when like cable companies, they kind of like gotcha. They're like, yeah, we're the only game in town, right? So she had Time Warner, and it was, I mean, not only was there issues with the service, because the service itself was bad, but their support was even worse.
Right.
They were like, now that just compounds the issue. If you don't have a good service or a good product, and then you have really bad support on top of it, and you don't even give... People don't even have the chance to get off of you. It's like really stuck there.
So I will say that. So AT&T,
AT&T, good for them. What they
usually
do?
Terrible.
What they do?
So I needed to activate a phone, switch SIMs, but I was moving from like an old SIM to a new SIM, so it wasn't like you couldn't just pull it out and put it in. And it was early in the morning on a Saturday morning, and I thought, I'm going to have to wait till Monday to call them or whatever. And then I went on the line and I found the button that says chat with us now, which again, I veer away from those because I find they're just unuseful. They usually say, or you click on it and it says we're not available now. And you're like, leave a message, like leave a virtual chat message. Thanks. So I click at 6:30 a.m. on a Saturday. I click on the button. It pops this window. I'm an early riser. So it pops this window. I put in the information. And lo and behold, this person not only gets on, asks for some information, needed IAM numbers and whatever. I give them the information. They're like, turn on your phone. Boom, 10 minutes. Done. They did the thing they need to do. They swapped over the service from one SIM to another.
Good for them.
6:30 in the morning via a chat. And I was like, that's customer service. Like, they solved my issue in the right channel at a time that I wasn't even expecting. They did it proficiently. It was very good. I mean, he had all the he or she or whatever had all the back and forth, like, how's your morning going? And, how's the weekend?
Had your coffee yet?
I know. And it's like, and he was trying. And I was kind of like, it'll be better when this is fixed. I'm always, But anyway, huge kudos to them. Whereas some of these companies are terrible. And I'll tell you, anybody who wants to learn about customer support, you should go look at Rackspace's model. I've had for 10, 15 years, I've had some of the greatest customer support I've ever had from Rackspace. They're far and above the best customer service I've ever had over a long period of time. They say it's like, they call it fanatical support, and they really build in their DNA. And so if anybody's saying like, oh, how should we go open up a Rackspace account and then start throwing in tickets and see how they treat you, and that's how it should work. That good, that fast, that intelligent. They're amazing. So that's my one. Anyway, so that's it. So let's get on to our CloudFocus pick of the week.
Yeah.
What are you picking?
Arrow. I'm not even sure how to pronounce it. It's ARRO.
Is this another? Oh yeah, I saw this as an ad on top of a taxi the other day.
Yeah, that's where it belongs. Because here's the deal. All of a sudden, I got this new iPhone, and
yes,
the iPhone 6S Plus minus
plus.
whatever.
Minus.
And all of a sudden, my Way to Ride, which is my go-to app,
it was a pick of the week.
It doesn't work.
What?
It doesn't let me check into a cab. It's like you must turn on your notification settings. And then I'm like, okay, and it brings me to the screen to turn on the notification settings, and they're already on.
For that app.
Which I don't understand why it needs notification settings in the first place.
Because it's to tell you when your cab's there. But okay.
But fine, they're on.
You might want to try background processing.
Whatever.
Okay. All right.
It told me to go to a place. When I hit the button, it brought me to the place, and it wasn't working. So I'm like, oh, this stinks. So I'm sitting in the cab, and I'm like, oh, crap, I got to pay with my credit card.
Right.
Oh, man. But then this ad scrolls across. It's like, try Arrow. So Arrow is the way it is just Uber for New York City taxi cabs.
How is that different than a Way to Ride?
It's not.
So they do the exact same thing?
They do the exact same thing.
But isn't Way to Ride like supported by the cab companies? Like TLC or whatever the cab company is?
It may. Arrow does virtually the same thing for New York City taxi service. I don't think it's as robust as Way to Ride, because Way to Ride allows for multiple credit cards.
Okay.
You can save your tip levels, and you can do all sorts of fun stuff in Way to Ride.
Can't do any of that in this.
Nope, but it still does the basics. You check in with the same number, the same PIN. It's that same exact thing.
Right.
So I think this has become a standard, this PIN, where anyone can build an app that hooks into it.
Oh,
so
that's interesting.
So you can hail a cab with Arrow, which actually has a more Uber-like interface than Way to Ride does. Okay. And you can pay with it, and you can get your email receipt right away as soon as you get out of the cab.
But you can't do multiple.
I have yet to figure out how to put a different credit card into it, and I can't figure out how to save my preferred tip level.
Okay.
But it's easy peasy, and it works really great.
But is it lemon squeezy?
Wouldn't call it lemon squeezy.
Okay.
But it's easy peasy. And it works. It works great. It's free. And
is it just New York?
It's just New York City right now.
Okay, so everybody else, go away.
Yeah, go away. We don't care.
Okay. Arrow.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading. Go away.
You shouldn't be listening anyway. It's too late.
You shouldn't have heard that.
You shouldn't have heard this. All right, my pick is kind of fun. It's finally out, I guess, if you've been thinking about it. So for all those people who have... who are browser people who like to have browsers, Chrome and Safari and Firefox. Well, Firefox for iOS is now out. So you can have Firefox on your multiple devices.
Usually I push the microphone away from me and let you just talk at this point.
Yes.
But I'm going to jump back in here.
Okay, yes.
What is the point of this?
The point of this is about choice and features. Because all browsers now kind of have a... Well, I'll give, first of all, remember Firefox is the only open source browser at this point.
Yep. So
right? The four big browsers, three of them are controlled by three mega corporations: Apple, Microsoft, and Google. So this is the only one that's kind of on the outside and is not being controlled by a multi-billion-dollar company.
Okay, but
Why?
Why?
Because options and features. So it has Firefox options and features. It has syncing. It has its own way of doing privacy settings. It has its own engine. It's a different.
Can I just say I think this is a waste of money?
It's not a waste of money. It's an open source product. It's free.
No, someone had to build this.
Well, it's open source. They work on it.
Someone had to build this.
Okay. Yes.
It's not like it's Firefox open source. The community built the iOS browser.
I think
and
so.
Nobody got paid a dime.
Well, no. Mozilla is an organization. I think
Mozilla's
they take
a foundation.
Yeah, I think they take in money like grants and things, and then they build applications.
Seems like a waste of money.
I agree that
Why
97%.
not just make it better on the desktop?
Well, they do. I mean, if you've seen the latest versions, are really getting
why
good.
Why not like really laser in focus? Because you've kind of lost here.
I don't think you've lost though.
I do.
Because people want to have that experience across multiple devices, especially if you start to use browsers that have a certain set of features and can synchronize. So if here's the thing, you're a huge Firefox user on your desktop. You're not. But if you were, and you have all your bookmarks there and all your saved stuff in there.
But here's the thing, I'm a huge Chrome user on the desktop.
And you don't use Chrome on your but that's you.
No.
But
I just don't.
I understand.
I guess I'm like that guy who just uses the default Internet Explorer. Right.
That's
me. Do you think you could swallow this microphone if you tried?
This is a very big
bet
microphone.
you could.
I don't think I could.
I think you've got.
I don't know.
You might. You've got it in you.
You might do it because you don't know how to switch browsers.
I'm done. That's me yelling at the mic. Good pick.
Anyway, here, I'll even give you another example.
Have you tried it yet?
Yes, I have.
Is it good?
It is very good.
It's fast?
It's good and fast.
Does it sync stuff well?
Yeah, I haven't tried the
Have all
syncing
your
piece.
passwords and stuff?
I haven't tried syncing yet. I use Firefox as like oh crap, it's broken in these other two browsers. Let's go try that third one.
I use Firefox for Firefox has like my home Gmail account logged into it.
I will say, here's why I think that the browsers are more important for iOS, because iOS is becoming more and more of a platform and more of a desktop computing system. You say, what? No, iOS is for the smaller devices. But not really. With the iPad Pro and things like that, it's more and more like a desktop. You're gonna have a keyboard, you're going to ever. So since the future is probably more on iOS side than it is on OS X side, I think people are trying to get their things on that platform, because eventually you're going to sit at a desktop that's going to be iOS or a hybrid of the two. So having this ready for that hybrid is why they're doing it. So eventually I think all apps are going to run on iOS or a hybrid or somehow. Maybe it's an iOS that emulates OS X or OS X that emulates iOS or whatever, but that's where it's going. These two OSs are not going to do nothing. They're going to merge at some point. The hardware is going to be fast enough on one side to run it. Anyway, I also like Firefox. I supported them. They had a big campaign many years ago, and I gave money to it. I just like that there's someone else out there building something that's not controlled by these three companies, which I love those three big companies. Well, two of them. But I still like that there's another one out there. When Opera comes out, there's another one the other day. A new browser came out, and I tried it. Remember when we used to love trying new browsers? You do remember that.
What was that one?
Oh, the social one?
The social one.
It's like Squinity or Square.
It's like something rock.
Hard rock.
It was something rock.
Yeah. Anyway.
There were a couple of like browsers that
Firefox for iOS.
They were trying some interesting things.
Yes, integration of the social with it.
Integration of like feeds.
I mean, I will say I generally want my browser to be very light and fast, because now more and more stuff happening inside the browser. I don't want the browser doing as much, but that's not to say there's not things I still want it to do.
I'm trying to find Flock.
Yes. Flock.
I said, what'd I say? Rock?
Yeah.
Flock.
All right. Firefox for OS. All right.
Flock's discontinued, by the way.
Yes, of course it is.
But it provided social networking and Web 2.0 facilities.
Oh, I love those.
Built into its user interface.
At Just Edelstein.
That's me.
At Jason M. Atwood.
That's you.
At Arkus Inc.
That's all of us.
All the rest of the places. We'll be back next week. Hope you enjoyed our special episode. We'll probably be back. I think we're going to round up our Winter 16 stuff next week. Yes? Because we have 2 more blog posts.
There's, I think, one more.
I think I posted that one. That was the last one. It wasn't the last one.
No.
There's one more coming.
There is
the ideas, right?
One more coming next week, which is the ideas that are being delivered.
Yep.
And then that's it. For winter 16, we'll just move right along.
I tell you, spring will be out before we even notice it.
It's the best.
All right, so we'll be back. Any feedback on this? We'd love to hear it. We'd love to hear your customer support. I don't know why I said that. It's Justin and Jason saying, enjoy those cloudy days.